We're going to do a watercolor together, and we hope to teach you a variety of techniques to use when you're doing watercolor on your own. But for today, we're all going to do the same painting. This is a good lesson on how to do a few things differently in your watercolors. This painting, you'll see it's a couple of daisies. I'll try to get it up so you can see the whole thing. And there's two on the bottom and two on the top, and this one here is kind of dead looking. And you'll notice there's some white spots here that don't seem to go to anything, and that's just part of the painting. And you don't have to put those in unless you want to. You'll notice how the paint just sort of smears in and blends in these places. This paper is 100% cotton rag, and the paint soaks into the paper really nice. I prefer this kind of paper myself. The paper that we're going to be using for this project, though, is like this. This is 25% rag, and you'll notice how the paint just kind of lays on the top of the paper. And it works. I mean, we'll make it work. So that's what we're going to do. And to get started with this, the first thing that we're going to do is, get this up high so you can see the whole thing. We're going to just do a very basic outline with using a soft pencil. So we're going to put in our stems. There's 4 stems. And then we're going to put in our centers of our flowers first. And notice that they're kind of a triangle with a rounded part on them. And this one is kind of, looks like a flying saucer. This one's long and skinny, but that's our dead flower. That's why that's there. Then you're going to draw on your flowers pieces and just do like that. And they're not all the same because these flowers are kind of at the end of their life. They're blowing away. Once we do that, we need to apply the frisket. And to apply the mask, it's really important because in watercolor, you can't paint white. The white is the paper. So the mask is really, really crucial when you're doing something like this. You want to use kind of a crappy brush because the frisket's really hard on the brush. And you're going to get in here, you're going to just get that, make sure, use your fingers and make sure that that brush is totally wet all the way through, that the middle of that brush isn't dry. Then once you do that, you are going to put a little dab of soap on it from, either soft soap, you can use Dawn dishwashing soap, whatever, just to, and work it in a little bit with your fingers like that. When you're done, you need to wash your brush out. That frisket will come right out. Otherwise it gets hard as a rock and your brush pretty much will be ruined. Okay, so here is our painting, and to apply the frisket, you just dip and paint it on there. Now you can use various widths of, I'm going to just put a little one here too. You can just use various widths. You might need to use a brush like this that's skinnier, or you can even use the end. You can dip the end in. Let's make a few polka dots here on our paper just to see how that turns out. So you can use a toothpick even. When you get done, you're going to let this totally dry. It's slightly sticky when it's dry, but you'll be able to tell it's dry. You'll notice here I have some, it's sort of a yellowish color, just very faint, and then the stuff I just put on is really white, so you'll be able to tell. Oh, and I forgot to tell you about the eraser. When you are doing your painting, this eraser, I just wanted to bring it to mind. This is a really great eraser because when you go to erase your lines, they will not bring up the paper. It'll only bring up the color of the pencil, the graphite part. And especially if you're using 25% rag paper, if you start having to erase, you're going to have big gouges. So you make sure you use that. Sometimes the frisket will take the lines right off too when you take it off, so it isn't totally crucial, but just a little hint. I might forget to tell you about that. Okay, when you get done, you're going to see that you have the background then can be painted. Here's one where I have painted some on the background and I've painted the centers. And you're able to do all kinds of stuff, go right over it, because that white is gonna, that brisket will come off and it'll be white underneath there. And the white's really super important, and I think especially beginning watercolor people need to rely on it quite heavily. Okay, so your assignment is to get your paper, make a simple drawing that looks something like this, or like this. Put Frisket on it, let it dry, and I'll see you soon.